As much as the devil wants to talk about people evolving, the context he uses it in is the context that promotes his kingdom, his fallen system. We're not evolving. We didn't come from apes. Apes did not turn into humans. They don't even have the same amount of allele as a human being. Excuse me. So, how, in the name of Yeshua, will an ape gain more allele? No, people get less alleles as they go. That's why in the genome of Africa, they have more DNA series than what they do in Europe. And that's no offense to anybody that's European. That's just science. But anyway, I watched a video this morning that was slightly annoying because, there's a lot going on concerning racism against black women right now. This ChefWay guy who said something like freaking 8 years ago about dark-skinned women, which, he's marrying this very thick Asian woman, so he's definitely got preferences. However, he said he was going through a very difficult time at the time. He was an alcoholic and these kinds of things. And, to me, love doesn't really keep a record of wrongs. And so when people want to hold these things over this guy's head when he's apologized, to me, I don't really see that as appropriate. I think that the man has apologized, and so people should let it go. I also understand why people are upset, because there seems to be just this disdain for black women for no reason. And I guess it's more so colorism than racism. But, why don't you like dark-skinned women? It's usually based off some racist stuff. You don't like blackness. So, this is why this man is marrying this Asian woman, yet he picked an Asian woman that has that stereotypical black body, ironically. I am not trying to get to the point of saying this man is a self-hater, because when I was interested in white guys for no other reason than the fact that they were white, I thought they looked better. It wasn't because I hated myself. It was because, I was brainwashed into thinking that these men were better because they were white. I was looking solely at appearance. And even nowadays, I look at the appearance of many different men and I can say, okay, that's attractive. Because at some point, I didn't think anything of Asian men. And then I met an Asian man that was very attractive, and not only physically, but just his soul. And then I was like, I can rock with some Asian guys type deal. So, as I went along, my ignorance started to dissipate, because what we promote in the black community is the exaltation of whiteness. And that is by design, because that's what the Jim Crow laws was aimed to do. It was aimed to pit black people against one another, light-skinned people that are closer to whiter looking against dark-skinned. And it's the same thing in many countries that I go to. In India, they have the same issue. But ironically, when I went to India, I went to Kerala and I went to Goa and that kind of thing. The people down there are much darker. Many of them descend from the Jews. There's a lot of Christians and that kind of thing. These were the most peaceful places that I went. Does that mean having more melanin is going to make you more peaceful? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying look at the heart of people, not their skin color so much. Because even with white people who don't have a lot of melanin, sometimes they can be really awesome people that have good hearts. So anyway, watched the video this morning. This 15-year-old kid tried to, quote-unquote, kill his preference, as this woman put it. First off, the anger from black women concerning the preferences thing, I understand it. And, coming from a place of being bullied a lot of black women are like that person that everyone picks on because their soul is tarnished. Because look, I stayed in this house when I was in California, and it was myself, another girl, two other girls. One girl, she was at the end, I think, of her cycle. She was a Christian, and she was just angry. She was just going off type deal on these girls. And so she was kind of the butt of the joke. Everybody's attention, negative attention, was towards her because how she was going off. Well, as soon as she left, even though I wasn't doing anything against these people, their negative attention turned toward me, because when people are animalistic, they are looking for the weakest. And so I think because black women are in a very weak state, not having support from the men, not having support from the women either, they seem to be the one where people just want to pounce upon. That says a lot about these people. Of course, they're animalistic. So out of the anger, these black women are on this video calling this 15-year-old a something bandit, I don't know, something bandit that these women often call black men, because they're done. I guess they have no hope in black men. Every black man is just evil. Not true, by the way. I mean, a 15-year-old. There is absolutely no reason you should be calling a 15-year-old that. And then, one of the women says he's not going to change and he knew what he was doing. I mean, these are things that a lot of black parents don't seem to get. At 11 years old, my mom was assuming that I knew what I was doing. And I'm like, 11? Like, isn't it your job to teach me the right way? A lot of these black children are in the streets. They come from broken homes. They don't know their dad. Most of them, a lot of them. And you assume that they know what they're doing. And then you assume at 15 years old, he's not going to change. What is wrong with you? Is it not our job to teach these kids the right way to go? Why don't you do that? And then maybe they'll know the right way to go. That right there to me is phenomenal, because then you're going to get black men on this video and they're going to be all triggered and, oh, so you think I can't change? This is what's wrong with black women. It's just, it's a never-ending cycle of stupidity. I cannot believe these people said this. And, I corrected them because that's my job. Now, going back to this ChefWay guy, as much as I want to be like, this guy is a fool, blah, 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 at the end of the day, I prayed for him instead, because these people don't know what spirit they're of. They have been deceived. He probably thinks he's winning the jackpot by getting an Asian woman that's shaped like a stereotypical black woman, but not really, because that's just her body. And there's probably lots of Asian women that are shaped like that. It is not only black women that are thick, and that's just what it is. So, but, the silliness is going to fall upon people's heads, because the whole preference is saying anything that's not of God is going to be shut down. And that's probably why he got exposed, because you in your mind think you're better than someone because they're darker skinned, or you think other people are better because they're light skinned or not black. Well, you reap what you sow. So there's that. So I'm praying that the Father opens his eyes to the truth. Now, this man also said that his cooking saved him, and people are coming against him for saying that. I mean, in my neighborhood, there was a roller skating rink. Kids were having fun every Friday and Saturday going to the roller skating rink. Well, as soon as they took the roller skating rink out of Westerville, the crime went up twice as much, because the kids didn't have anything else to do. So they resorted to violence instead. So him saying cooking saved him, well, I don't think cooking can save anyone. I think God saves people. At the end of the day, he was able to use his talent to redirect some of that negative energy. So why are you coming against this man? Because he ended up redirecting his negative energy with his talent. It doesn't really make much sense. I mean, do we know what we're doing? I would say we don't, just like that 15-year-old. And so we have to be taught. It's just so crazy to me. Oh, man. But yeah, I don't know. This manosphere crap and this womansphere crap, I mean, it can't have too much longer, because all I see is like it just divulging into becoming worse and worse at this point. Like, people just don't even know. They don't know. They're hurt, and so they're reacting out of their pain. And ultimately, I feel like I want to be there to pray for people and to plant the seeds of truth, because when the lie's implanted, that's how people become like this. That's why people are so upset, because they're believing lies, So I guess we're going to see what happens. My suggestion is people start praying for people. My suggestion is people start forgiving people. Like the Messiah said, forgive 70 times, 7 times. Not literally, but until you no longer care about the situation anymore. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. And these people don't know what they're doing. Another thing I want to talk about is Akon. Akon literally got backlash for exposing black culture, black American culture. He was saying that, African culture is better because of their value system and their traditions and that kind of thing. And I agree to an extent. I mean, not all Africa is the same. You have different countries as well as different tribes. One tribe, somebody was talking about yesterday about how they have a celebration of men taking other people's wives. Like, that to me is sick. And you can tell by the way they dress. Like, they usually dress in all black. They look like witches, literally. Like Rihanna in that video, "Where have you been?" That's exactly how they look. They got tattoos on their faces. They're evil. And so, I mean, I definitely would not be going to their culture and being like, hey, these are good traditions and values, because they're not. But many tribes and many countries in Africa, they tend to lean toward spiritual things, towards the Father. And so I think this is what Akon was referring to more so. Granted, Akon has how many wives? I don't know. Sometimes that's a thing in African culture as well, multiple wives. I don't agree with it. I think the Father created one woman and one man from the beginning. But nonetheless, what he's saying was not a lie. Someone asked, okay, what's black culture? And I responded, thinking about it, twerking, sex, drugs, baby mamas, Jordans. I don't care what anybody has to say about it, because it's true. Hating on each other. Obviously, that's what's going on concerning the manosphere and the womansphere. You hate each other. The men don't want to protect the women. They want to go off and get other women from other countries, thinking that that's going to save them somehow, and they refuse to change themselves. The devil will follow you wherever you go, believe me. There is a spirit that was speaking to me when I was in the U.S. before I left 7 years ago. And that spirit ended up in Asia speaking to me the same way. Because that spirit was trying to enter me. It was a curse. And I had no way out of it because I wasn't with Christ yet. So, you're going to take whatever it is with you to wherever you go. But to be fair, traveling really does help. I mean, I definitely met God overseas, and it helped me appreciate life more. But you're not going for that, are you? You're going for women, because you think it's all black women's fault. But yeah, that's really was true what Akon said. I mean, that's all I can think of when I think of black culture. I literally have had the worst experiences with black people. Yeah, I have. I cannot go anywhere in Atlanta without being hated on to some kind of extent. Because the jealousy, the vanity and the jealousy, they're trying so hard to be like these nations, and many of you descend from the Hebrews, that you hate one another. Believe me, coming to Mexico and seeing how the Europeans have affected the locals here, all the vanity, all the materialism. When I step into a place, they're looking at me like, who are you? You're black. You're here. Why? Because when you focus too much on your appearance and your flesh, and things don't matter, luxury things, all this kind of crap, you're building up your treasures on earth, your spirit is going to devolve to a place of hatred, jealousy, envy, bitterness, resentment. Believe me, this is the kind of seed that the devil wants to plant inside of people. And it's working. That's why we have all these issues against one another. So, the culture being for black people, what I said earlier, is exactly why they have issues. There's no moral standards anymore. There's no moral standards, so there's no strong family unit. There's no strong family unit, and people are realizing it, so they think they need to go overseas and find something else. When what they need to do is take care of their communities. I tell them this, why do you think I have to be responsible for my community? Why do you think? The reason why you want to go overseas and get a traditional woman is because that traditional woman grew up in a community where they were taking care of each other. Guy never responded. You want to know why? Because no one told him something like that before. He can't argue against it. It's the truth. It's that selfish mentality that causes issues. You want to be all about yourself, and then you want to go overseas and try to integrate yourself in the culture, which is not all about themselves. What do you think is going to happen? Hopefully you learn that it's not all about you. That would be great. But anyway, stop worrying about stupid stuff. You don't need a new Jordans. Stop listening to trash music that makes your whole life about sex. Kanye even told you that. That's why he talked about the 808 beat. I don't know where Kanye is, by the way. I hope they didn't take him out. But yeah, that's why he told you about the 808 beat, because it triggers your lower sexual instincts. All right, quit hooking up with people. Quit going overseas to hook up with people. You're not living your best life. I'm trying to tell you that. You think you're living your best life because you scored a Latino woman with a big butt and she cooked you breakfast in the morning? You think you're living your best life? You're not. Your best life is based on things that are literally going to leave you spiritually destitute. I know. I've been over in Mexico for about a year. I've been over in Mexico for about a month. A year. I could not survive here. I could not survive. It's not all about eating and drinking and hooking up with people, okay? That's not life. So, y'all pray for one another. Repent of your sins. Turn to God, and you will have the things that you're looking for. Because you're not going to find it the way that you're going. You guys be blessed and have a good one.